Hi guys, Mrs. Smith here, and today I'll be sharing with you one of our favourite Christmas stories, and it is this one here, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Everyone down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with his sour Grinch frown at the warm lighted windows below in the town, for he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas is practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming. I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys, and then, oh the noise, 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 noise. That's the one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, 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 feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beef, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they do something he liked least of all, for every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing, 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 sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this whole Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then the Grinch got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderfully awful idea. There he is. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around. But since reindeer were rare, there was none to be found. But that did not stop the old Grinch. No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, and he took some white red thread, and he tied a big horn on the side of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some empty old sacks, and on a ramshackle shelf he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Gid up!" and the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quite snow filled the air, and the Whos were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, an empty bag in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two, then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile, most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present. Popguns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums. And he stuffed them in bags, and the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who feast, he took the Who pudding, he took the roast beef. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, the Grinch even took their last can of Woo hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee, and now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove, when he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned round fast and he saw a small Who little Cindy Lou Who was no more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking the Christmas tree? Why? But you know the old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought of a lie and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree and one light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there. Then I'll bring you back here. And his fit fooled the child. Then he patted her head, and he got her a drink and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went to the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who mouses. It was 15:15 dawn, and the Who's still abed, and Who still snoozed when he packed up his sled. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up at the sound of my crumpets, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Po, po, to the Who's, he was grinishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, I know, well, just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open in a moment or two, then the Who's standing the Hoover will cry, boo, hoo, ho. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that they simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He stared down at Hoover. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. For every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons, it came without tags, it came without packages, boxes or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, didn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, he thought, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day, and the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he wished with his loaf with a bright morning light, and he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beef. The end. So I hope you enjoyed that, and hope you have a lovely Christmas and are kind and thoughtful to each other. Take care, and I will see you in the new year. Bye.